でこんな低予算映画なんかに。
Me and my hair are at their limit. I've seen so many films today, and I have recorded so many vlogs already. Alright, so, last film of the day, what did I see? DC Superheroes vs. Eagle Talon. By Frogman. It's real. And yes, it looks like that. And it is actually endorsed by Warner Bros. Not having a context for this film while going in to see it turned out to be a big mistake, because this sure felt a bit confusing. So for those who don't know, and I'm assuming is a lot of those, Eagle Talon Society is a zero-budget flash animated series by a person by the pseudonym of Frogman. It's Japanese, because of course it is, and apparently it received enough traction, enough success, that Warner Bros. Said, hey, why not a crossover with the Justice League? We can use it to promote the Justice League film in Japan. Brilliant! There is a lot to say about this, surprisingly. Technically, the title is a lie, because the Eagle Talon Society that I have mentioned already isn't really fighting the DC superheroes. They are helping them fighting the Joker and Harley Quinn and the Penguin, because they have a nefarious scheme to make a movie in Japan. So as the film starts, oh, and by the way, the most shocking thing about it was seeing the Warner Bros. Logo first appearing as soon as it began. That really was something else. I could have sworn this was either a parody or some bootleg that should not even be legal. But no, this was apparently just endorsed by Warner Bros. Because sure, we want our superhero DC icons and IPs to look like this. What could possibly go wrong? Okay, I am being slightly facetious here. Let me contextualize this, if I even can. So as soon as the film starts, we are introduced to what is essentially the gimmick of the film. It has no budget. That's the joke. It doesn't have a good enough budget for DC superhero comics. It's a whole metatextual running theme. It's also the main conflict of the story, because you see, there is this HP bar, gauge bar if you will. There is a bar on the side of the screen, on the right side of the screen. Actually, I am pointing to my right. it's going to look like I am pointing to the left. But you get the idea, there is a bar. That is the budget bar. Which means every time somebody does something, the budget deplenishes. The gimmick is that if it reaches a zero, the film will be over and the story will have to continue in the sequel. So in order to keep the budget not from becoming zero, they occasionally have to bring in a sponsor, which I think it's actually a real-life sponsor for the film, which I believe it's a clever way to get around obvious sponsorships, implementing them as gags that make sense within the context and the diegesis and whatever it is the theme. And it doesn't take long at this rate to figure out that this whole ordeal here is a satire on the sheer amount of money that Hollywood wastes over superhero flicks. That really is the message. That even is the central focus of the quote-unquote plot, because you see, Joker has made a lot of money to make his own movie in Japan, which is going to entail something catastrophic for Japan itself, because it's the Joker, obviously, and the Justice League guys cannot stop him because action scenes are too expensive, which means they cannot punch anybody. Which, you know, in itself is a clever little joke. So they have no choice but to accept the help of the aforementioned Talon Society, of which I know nothing prior to this film, if I didn't make this already abundantly clear. But since they are basically zero budget flash animation puppets, and I do mean that in the most literal sense of the word, barely moving at all, no other physical positioning or motion, just stick figures with one facial expressions. That's what all of these guys are. Because again, it has no budget, and that's the joke. So the text meets the meta text and they have a laugh together, essentially, getting drunk on the beach. Anyway, they have to help out, and from then on out, it's all a barrage and cavalcade of jokes and gags about exactly that, with the bar constantly there to remind you that, oh, we're running out of money, we shouldn't be running out of money, we need new sponsorships, and all of that. Now, there are a couple of genuinely funny jokes here and there, such as the Joker and Harley Quinn being involved in a quite earned Your Name reference, which had me in stitches. And there is also this one segment of the film that derails completely from the plot, because, you know, it's never really about the plot with this sort of meta-comedies. But regardless, there is this whole segment in which the society here tries to go back in time to prevent Batman's parents to die, which makes for a much better Batman film than most Batman films I've seen. The rest of it is, I guess, passable. Like I said, a few good moments, a few laugh out loud moments, but those were funny only because I understood what the joke and the reference was. It's clear to me that in order to fully appreciate this film, I would have had to be a fan of Talon Society to begin with, and I had never heard of this series or indeed even Frogman prior to this moment. Or even if I had, I can assure you I would not have bothered to watch it, because it genuinely looks like flash vomit. I'm sorry. no amount of being self-aware, no amount of meta joking around the issue, it still does not fix the fact that it looks so fundamentally unappealing. I'm talking about early 2000s Canadian animations unappealing. There are a multitude of situations in which, in order to deplenish the budget, we actually have expensive animation showing up for a few seconds, but that works usually again as an aforementioned joke about we don't have enough budget for action scenes, except we do, because then Batman's money. Batman is rich, that's his superpower. So I guess, all in all, this is a much better Justice League film than the actual Justice League film. At least the characters were somewhat enjoyable. With all of that said, did this film really need to be 105 minutes long? This could have easily been half an hour or even 40 minutes if I had to be generous. It did not need to be 1 hour and 40 minutes long. It's dragging all the way to the finish line. And no amount of Your Name reference can save it from dragging like that. Just look at this freaking thing. Wow. Wow, I still can't believe it. I mean, what next? Agretsuko meets the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Actually, that's a great idea. Get onto it!